Well, early on in my recovery, and realizing that I had a serious problem with porn, I sought and looked around for some sort of help network. And I know I'm dating myself a bit, but there was no groups available. The closest thing that I could find that touched on brokenness was the Alano Club. And the Alano Club was where all of the 12-step meetings happened. So I began to faithfully go every Thursday noon hour to an AA group just to learn about some steps of recovery. And if you've ever been to an AA meeting, you will often see different signs that are posted on the wall. They're signs that are often associated with AA, for example. One of the signs that I remember seeing was 1 day at a time. Another sign was let go and let God. Some of those signs you might be familiar with. You might have picked up in learning about 12 steps if you haven't been to, for example, an AA meeting. I remember one sign that was a bit different that I want to talk about today, and it went something like this. Welcome to Plan B. If Plan A had worked, none of us would be here. So today I want to talk about Plan A, why it didn't work for us, and how we've actually graduated in our recovery to Plan B. Welcome aboard.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, if you've been living under a rock and you have not heard before about the Finding Traction podcast or some of the resources that are available, actually, that's a joke. I know a lot of people are just finding out about me in different ways, finding out about the website, finding out about this podcast. You can actually go back and gain access to a lot of the resources that I've done. Over the years, I have developed many different aids and worksheets to help you in your recovery, information on the Finding Traction course, and you can access all of that information on the Circle Learning platform. And if you go to the show notes, you will see, for example, that there is a link there that you can go ahead and sign up. I usually have people sign up with either their first name and their last initial or their full first name and last, some version of that just to keep some privacy. But let me just say that on there, you'll get more information about all the different worksheets I've created, information on groups, information on the Finding Traction course, the 52-week video course. Right now, there's groups that I have going, Finding Traction groups in Scotland, in Australia, here in North America. In a couple weeks, I'm heading down to Brazil to work with people in Brazil, and I'm really hoping to start some Brazilian groups. Apparently, there's this really cool thing that you can actually, I could take my videos and I could have them through AI, through AI could actually change my spoken word to Portuguese and even make it look like I'm speaking Portuguese. So I'm in the process of looking into that. So there's all that information there. And let me also say, if you are married with children, we want you. We have 2 or 3 guys that are waiting to start a brand new Finding Traction group. And we'd love 2 or 3 more guys that are in that place in life where they're wrestling with problematic porn behaviors and also raising kids and, career issues. It's just nice sometimes to put people together. So we like to get 5 to 7 guys together and kind of journey together some of the challenges that people face. If any of that interests you, obviously you can sign up for Circle. But if you want to connect with me personally, my email is bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. That's bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. Okay, let's get back to talking about this sign that says this: welcome to Plan B. If Plan A had worked, none of us would be here. So you say, well, what is Plan A of recovery? And why didn't it work for us? I'm going to guess that most of us have tried or thought about some version of walking out Plan A. This is Plan A of recovery. Let me give you 3 or 4 different types of Plan A's. First one is doing recovery on our own, trying to walk away from porn, trying to kick porn out of our lives without telling anybody, without involving anybody. And it's kind of that attempt at white knuckling our sobriety using our own power and strength. The key is on our own. I mean, there's lots of reasons for that. Of course, we don't like people to know we're struggling. There's a lot of shame that lies behind the secrets we keep. And we figure if I can just lick this on my own, if I can get over this on my own, no fuss, no muss, and I'm just going to be able to get in the clear. And you know what? It's like, it will be like this never happened. So that's one version of Plan A. Another version of Plan A is not the alone factor, it's the self-effort factor. It's the willpower Plan A. It's trying to muster up that willpower. And in one sense, maybe right after you act out, you may have that willpower for a short period of time. But then, sure enough, that overwhelming desire and arousal hits you, and you're back into a place of feeling powerless. Your willpower, your self-effort feels like a hip that gives out, a knee that gives out, that it's completely unstable, unreliable, and it never passed the test when you're really struck with that deep pull back to your porn habits. So that's another version. Plan A, the first one, is kind of doing it on your own without involving others. Plan B, the other version of Plan A is the version of self-effort. Another version of Plan A, a third one, is kind of the pathway of recovery where you try to do it by making the least possible amount of changes in your life. We'll call that the slow, gentle way. It's kind of like adding a little recovery to your life. A little remodeling here, a little remodeling there, and you try to take the slow, gentle, incremental approach to recovery. Plan A. All of these, you'll gather, are not really effective, and you've probably tried it. I've tried it, and they've been unsuccessful. One other version of Plan A that I see Christian guys using, it's a different version of Plan A, but they look for God to take their porn struggles away, usually in one dramatic encounter or prayer session. They might declare themselves free, or they feel that by just practicing or understanding their new identity, or maybe if you're open to this, some more dramatic, version of deliverance. But the bottom line is that Christianized version of plan A is there's going to be one dramatic encounter that's going to flip the tables, and they're now going from being in captivity to being free. All of those are different versions of plan A. And again, most of us have tried to live that out. Most of us would say, how is that working for us? Most of us go, well, it didn't really work for us at all. It didn't really play out in being an effective way towards actually creating a new system or pattern of our lives. We didn't really get free at all. All right. So then what is plan B? Well, plan B is a completely different approach. And we're just going to take each one of those and spin it on its head. If plan A is trying to do it on our own without telling or involving others, while of course plan B is recognizing that we need to reach out to others. We need help from others. We need to turn to others and go, you know what? For whatever reason, I cannot do this on my own. I need help. I am stuck. That is a version of plan B. Now, if plan A, taking the second one, if plan A is some version of self-effort, then plan B is saying, yes, I still have choices to make, but I need to borrow from the strength of others as well. We can do what I can't. I either need to be reaching horizontally for that help or vertically for that help, or ideally both, as I move past a pathway of mere self-effort. That is moving from plan A to plan B. If plan A of recovery is looking for the softest, easiest, most gentle way that involves the least sacrifices and changes to our lives, ineffective, then plan B is saying, I will do whatever it takes, whatever steps I need to take. Even, now listen to this, even if it involves major lifestyle changes and choices including, for example, how I interact with my technology, how I consume entertainment. I will do whatever it takes. It's no longer the soft, easy, gentle pathway. That is plan B. And if plan A of recovery is hoping that God would take it away, then plan B is recognizing that our recovery involves the slow work of honesty and humility on our part that partners with God's grace, either directly and through the community of other people. Chances are, most likely God is not going to take it away. He is going to require you to take radical steps of honesty and humility. And in that pathway, plan B, you are going to begin to experience newfound freedom and newfound space in your life. Now, did you notice that plan B is harder than plan A? Did you notice that most of us would prefer plan A? Absolutely. It's just natural. It enables us to hide. We can keep our self-respect. We can keep our pride. We can keep our independence. We can keep the image that we portray to others, all of those things. And it also would feel good if we managed to lick this on our own. Boy, we could come up with a book. we could it would really add to our sense of I got this. So here's a question. If most of us prefer plan A, and most of us will do our very level best to stay with plan A, then why would any of us transition to plan B? Why would we do that? Well, there's only one reason, and it's a 4-letter word. P-A-I-N. Yes, you got it. Pain. You see, information doesn't motivate us to change. It's only when the pain of our lives that we're currently living in becomes so great that we're no longer willing to just stay there and then finally become willing to transition and try a plan B. You see, you can't move from plan A to plan B unless you're willing to make an all-out commitment. But you're not going to be willing to make an all-out commitment without some version of pain, internal, external, whatever it is. See, that's why pain is so important in the change process. It's rare to find somebody willing to take strong commitment without intense pain that motivates that commitment. Even in our relationship with God, this is the way C.S. Lewis writes it from a spiritual angle. He wrote a book called The Problem of Pain. But in this way, it wouldn't be the problem of pain. It would be like the solution of pain, or the solution that comes from pain. Listen to what he says. He said, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks to us in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It's his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. I guess you could say pain is the shout of God saying something is wrong, or him asking, how is it working for you? Another way to put it is pain is the check engine light on our car dashboards. Now, I've got a bad experience with check engine lights. When I was, we had a Dodge Caravan when our kids were younger, and it only had a 4-cylinder engine, which we thought was really cool for gas mileage, but we did something really, really stupid. We decided to put a heavy trailer behind it. I have no idea what I was thinking at the time. And we got halfway up the Asuyas Hill. If any of you from British Columbia, you would know that hill. It's a steep, winding hill of switchbacks in the Okanagan. And the check engine light came on. And now, even though the check engine light came on, we were still working on plan A. And I told myself, you know what? We're almost to the top. We're almost to the top. I'm going to stay on plan A. And so, I mean, the top of the summit was just a little ways away. And I continued to drive with that check engine light on. We got about another 100, 200 feet, and the vehicle just died. You know, it wasn't even the check engine light that caused us to realize we'd screwed up. It was the engine seizing up. At that point, the engine was toast, and we needed basically a new vehicle because the vehicle wasn't worth a whole lot of money. But the check engine light said you got to switch from plan A to plan B. But it was only when the vehicle died that I'm going, okay, well, now we're stuck with 3 young kids on the side of the road. Houston, we have a problem. You see, pain or a seized up engine cuts through the fog of deception that keeps us thinking, you know what? I can manage this. I can just cut down or cut back or hold on until I get married or my life situation, I get a job and I'm busier. Then I'm sure I'm not going to struggle in the same way. But pain says, no, 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 it is truly this bad. I guess sports medicine doctors say there's a major difference between the way that men and women respond to their sports injuries. Women quickly come in to, when they have something, they think something's wrong, they'll come quickly in and get it checked out by a sports medicine doctor. But many guys don't do that. They think it will go away, or that they can work out their way through it, or they can muscle their way through it. And as a result, they do even more damage until whatever that muscle is totally seizes up. The author Wayne Cordero puts it this way: sometimes the only way radical change happens is through radical pain. So, if you're still trying to live with plan A, let me suggest that plan B would work better for you. And if you're in the middle of experiencing some version of intense pain, let me say transition to plan B before the pain has to get worse and worse and worse to finally get your attention. Trust me, plan B does truly lead to true freedom. We'll see you next time.